John, thank you
Yes.
very much for being here today. I really appreciate your time. We are at CDI at TMC, and before we get started, if you don't mind introducing yourself and your role at Intelligent Implants.
Yes. So I'm John Zellmer. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Intelligent Implants.
Fantastic. So before we really dig into your technology and your company, I want to learn a little bit more about you. How did you develop your interest in technology or in engineering? Was that at an early age, or did a significant event in your life shift you into medical devices?
So actually, when I was about 8 years old, my dad brought me my first computer. It was one of those old computers, you know. It had where the screen is black and orange only. So it's called, we call it 286. That's how my interest in technology started.
So it started from the computer sciences side, and did
Yes.
you build the computers yourself as well? Did you manipulate the hardware, or was it really just the digital side of it?
Yeah, so we started building these computers when we were about 10 years old, because at that time you could, if you wanted to have a good computer for video games, what you could be doing then is you bought the motherboard and you bought different processors, and you could get the cost down significantly for your own computers, and then you could help your friends to do the same thing. So we were doing that a lot for in between about years of 10 and 15, and then get other interests, of course, at that point.
We actually have the same story of how we developed our interest in technology. From age 10, I built my personal computer, and to this day, I still have a computer that I tinker with. It's just, it fulfills the engineer in me, definitely. So I love that we have that same. Do I understand correctly that you had experience with Chinese studies when you were in university?
Yeah, in a way. So actually, I got offered a job in China, in an engineering company, and that was very exciting. It was fun times, and I learned a lot of Chinese when I was there, and also the culture and how to manage companies in a very different culture.
Was there a specific person, again, either personally or in your career, who helped inspire you and where you are today?
Yeah, I would say that would be my father. So my father is an engineer, but he's also an entrepreneur. He started a lot of companies over in Sweden and been pretty successful in that. So I've grown up around entrepreneurship, starting companies, seen him running companies, and I learned a lot from him just observing him.
So it sounds like you were in an environment that fostered this creative way of thinking and this innovation spark in you.
Yeah, I think so.
There's nothing more beautiful than that. So now let's go ahead and shift into Intelligent Implants.
Yeah.
So what exactly is the story behind Intelligent Implants? How did it get started?
So my brother is a doctor in biomedical engineering, and one of his friends is a neurosurgeon. So they were observing some surgeries. One of those surgeries were a spinal fusion surgery, a revision surgery for spinal fusion. And then they got talking about the issues they have with non-unions following spinal fusion surgeries. So my brother, who's worked mostly in peripheral nerve stimulation, with implantable peripheral nerve stimulation systems, so he suggested, so why don't you incorporate the electrical stimulation system within the implant. He knew that electrical stimulation could stimulate bone tissue. It's a very powerful way to stimulate bone to remodel.
So he took an idea that was working and improved it.
Yeah, so he took an idea from that basically is from another sector, is a peripheral nerve stimulation, and he moved that into the orthopedics sector. And then he called me, and we started to do the due diligence on the market and everything, and we decided that this was a very good opportunity. So we moved ahead and started this company and started to developing the technology.
So would he be your co-founder?
Yes, so my brother is one of the co-founders. Dr. Murphy is a neurosurgeon, is another of our co-founders.
I always say that the medical device industry is very familial. It sounds like your experience is very familial. Would you mind describing your platform technology at maybe a 40,000 foot level?
Yes. So what normally happens during a fusion, intervertebral fusion surgery, is that you put in a cage. It's a kind of a spacer, and you graft it with some graft material, and that's a piece of plastic or a piece of metal usually. So what we're doing is we are incorporating an electrical stimulation system with an array of electrodes inside this piece of plastic, and we power that wirelessly. And we can also decide where we want to stimulate bone growth, because we can control each of these electrodes individually. And we can also monitor that bone growth in real time using impedance measurements. So, and then we derive that data out, and we can use that to change the stimulating parameters, but we can also use that data, feedback that back to the physicians, so they can make clinical decisions based on that data.
There's no surprise to me now why you were chosen as part of the TMC X cohort, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How did it feel when you were accepted into the program?
Yeah, that's a great feeling. So we've actually been here in Houston since February 2017. So we first moved into the JLabs facility, and then later on we moved into this facility where we're right now, the Center for Device Innovation, about half a year ago. And we're also part of the TMC now, and the accelerator there. So that's great, and we're trying to immerse ourselves and be part of this ecosystem that's is building here around the Texas Medical Center.
You couldn't be with a better community, that's for sure. I have to ask, you are at the Center for Device Innovation. What's your personal favorite tool or equipment in the space?
I think it's what we use most is probably the CNC mills or the laser welder. So those are the two key things that we're using here, because we're making everything in our implant and in our system, in our prototype, we're making that custom. So for us, it's very, very valuable to be able to be here and interact with this facility firsthand.
Couldn't agree more. How would you say this experience over the last year and coming into this year has affected how you run Intelligent Implants and how that company is succeeding? Do you feel like it's influenced it positively?
Definitely, definitely. So for us, we've always been kind of spread out. We've been, our team has been maybe over in Asia, in Europe, in the US. And now we're gathering here in one place and emerging into one ecosystem. It makes everything much easier, both from development standpoint, but also from a fundraising standpoint, because when you're here and you're a little bit known, people are more positive.
I mean, there's a certain credibility, I think, that you get really being associated with one of the largest healthcare companies in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, they did their due diligence on this, and I think for a lot of people, that's a big validation.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about milestones.
Yes.
What would you consider your most recent milestone?
I would say the most recent and the most exciting one that we had, where we started our ovine model studies, our large animal studies. So that was about 10 months ago that we did our first ovine model, and that felt really, that was the first time it felt for real, because you design this, you make it, you do bench testing and everything, but when you actually do or see the surgery and see it goes in, see the X-ray images and everything, that's a great feeling where you actually feel that you're actually doing this for real. And then when we also started getting the data back from after the necropsy, and we saw the big differences, that was also in bone remodeling in between the levels that we were looking at. That was also very exciting.
Well, sounds very promising. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So what are your priorities?
So we're continuing with our animal trials. We're looking at the different ways of stimulating bone tissue. So it's a little bit of a research endeavor, part of it. We started to talk to the FDA, started to plan for our clinical trials.
A lot coming up. Again, best of luck. Before we close out today,
Yes.
I just wanted to give you an opportunity for closing remarks. Is there anything that you wanted to share with the audience, lessons learned?
So I think it's not easy, and when you start off from nothing, but it's very rewarding, it's very fun. This is the most fun I've ever had in any job, and it's almost like a lifestyle, or it is a lifestyle, because it takes a lot of energy, but it's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding, for sure. So I would encourage anyone who has idea where they can actually improve the lives of people to go for it and make something out of it, because it is possible and anyone can do it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. John, thank you very much for being with us today. I can't thank you enough. Best wishes. I'm going to keep a close eye on you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care. Thank you.